My family lives in Wexford town. Stop travelling and settle down. Me father had a horse and cart, but he did not know the ways. But the horse and cart back on the road began our travelling days. My father's name is Tom Connors, and I'm a Connors too. But me horse and cart back on the road it began our travelling days. Now listen.
I used to come to a youth group and everybody, the youth started, going off doing other things, and I was still coming. So then I just said, sure, I'll volunteer here. And in 2012, Amy McCann, the boss, offered me a part-time job, and that's working in community development, and I also work with Peter O'Reilly doing the drugs prevention and education. We run youth groups and we educate and give information to the youth groups about drugs and alcohol and just the awareness of it, and that goes out into the community as well. We also link in with primary healthcare, as they have 5 members that's on our drugs prevention team. So, CART is an Irish word for justice. CART was originally founded by Sister Katrina, and she opened up a house in Ballygoyle, and to encourage the travelling women to come into it, she started doing knitting, and that was moved down to the Methodist Hall, and they started doing the same thing, and it went further out then to Ratnew Village, the village hall, and the women could come and do arts and crafts and knitting and mats and stuff. And there was also a creche to facilitate childcare, which I was in with my mother when I was about 2 or 3. And that was then Dominican sisters donated land to Wicklow Travellers Group, which CART stands on now, and they started building that in 1999, and it was officially opened in 2000. I first started coming to CART when my mother was working out in the Ratnew Hall. I started the creche there when I was about 3, and then I went on to school then. And then CART, this centre was built when I started school, and when I was in senior infants, and this centre was funded by the nuns. The land was gave to Wicklow Travellers Group to build what was to be CART. When I became 10, Anne Shelley Lacey, who works in the Community Development Project, she gave me a leaflet about a girls group starting up every Saturday morning, and me and a couple of other of the girls were invited to do it. So we showed up on the Saturday morning, and she told us we were going to do a fashion show, and that included making our own clothes, and it's going to be videoed. So that was great fun. We made, all of us designed our own outfits, and we helped in putting them together. And it also, when we got our outfits finished, we did the fashion show, which was kind of like a catwalk, and it was videoed here in CART. It was great fun, as it was all of our friends, like in the group. There was 6 of us, and it was, they're all moved on now and they're married and stuff like that. So the summer project started in 2000, and it was originally started by Mary Rose Walker and Sister Katrina and Aunt Shelley Lacey. It runs in the month of July every year, and it runs in various groups of children, like the 7 to 10 year old boys and girls. There's 11 to 14 boys, 11 to 14 girls, and there's also 15 to 17 group for the older kids. The children come to CART every morning, and for 5 days they go on various outings, like to the zoo, Curry Farm, Clara Lara, and the older group then, it's the teenagers, they go and on a trip away over to England to the amusement park, like Thorpe Park or something like that. CART runs many groups. They have 11 to 14 girls who come here on a Monday evening, They do many activities like arts and crafts, computers. Me and myself and Peter O'Reilly and Bridget Connors, we run the Tuesday Boys group, and they come and do pool and bowling and computers. And they also did, during the last year, they did a DVD on Sminky Shorts DVD on drug and alcohol awareness and also energy drinks. They also entered at the Exhale competition, and they have a Thursday Boys group. It's 14 to 18, and they do many activities like handball, hurling, football, and it keeps them busy. And Kurt also runs the Fish and Future Club. It's a mix of settled men from the community and travelling men from the community. That is run by Peter O'Reilly and Ian Daly, and also Jim O'Brien. They do free coaching and angling to rehab and treatment services, and also community programs in the town. With racism against travellers nowadays, it's kind of fading out. I really come across it now. But this centre is a good way to get away from that, because they can talk to people about it. Travellers, some people hold a lot of prejudice against them. They tar them all with the one brush, which is not true. But back in 2009, a group of girls, including me, did a show Racism Red Card. It's a competition. We did a DVD on traveller racism, and it was a DVD how two girls got refused entry into a nightclub when two settled girls were let in front of them. And it was also about how a mother and daughter went to look for a hotel for her daughter's wedding, and they were told we're closed on that day. We got an award for it, so it was nice to have. And we'd have the DVD, and we made up packs, and we went to schools and gave out the packs and educated them on how travellers do and still do get there's racism against them. People think it's not, but some people come across it. But I think kind of it's a little bit fading out. You might get an odd person.
Yeah, my name is Mary O'Brien, and I came to work at Shipnet approximately 3 years ago. I mostly was kind of looking for a bit of work to earn, an extra bit of money, So I came here, and they said they'd take me on, so I got a job here. And the first time I came in, I went on an embroidery machine, and I'd never even seen an embroidery machine. But it was a big machine, 16 spools of thread on it, and I was going I was a bit wary about it, but got into it, got going with it, and enjoyed it. So at that time we do the crests for the schools, the local schools around the area. We do crests for them. We do crests for anybody comes in from some shops or restaurants might want their gowns, whatever they're wearing, embroidered, their name, logos on them. So done that for a good bit, and then I was put on the knitting machine. So that's what I'm doing mostly now, the knitting. We knit all sorts of scarves, hats, lovely ponchos, and nice throws. It's a nice environment to work in. It's a very nice environment to work in. There's 7 of us working together, and all ladies, and we all get on very well together. Thank God, we all have our little chats, and we all help each other. And every piece that we make, if one piece is made, if it's only a hat, it's we all have an input into that piece. It'll be knitted, it'll then be took off the machine, it'll be tucked, and it'll be linked together on a linking machine, and then there'll be little details added onto the hat. So that goes down along like a line, so each person has their little bit to do with that one piece, but we all have an input into that one piece, and we all will help each other. If there's a problem on a machine, that you can just call such a Kathleen or Mary, and I'll say, look, I have a problem here, Mary, can you solve this one? And she could have a problem that I could solve on another day. So we all work that way. We all help each other and get on very well. It's the whole centre is a nice place, because you can go for any kind of advice. So if I'm in this place and I have some thing to do with health matters, and we have us all here in the centre, and we can just walk upstairs and find out things like that. But ShuttleKnit, it's a community enterprise, and it's a partnership between the travellers and the settled community. We sell our products locally and internationally, and we're doing very well at the moment, so I'm told we're doing very well. I've just come back actually from a fair up in Kilrudry on Saturday, and a lot going on there, selling our products up there. We've been involved now in the designing products for events like the Ryder Cup and the Borstal Boys at the Gaiety, Kilbeggan Whiskey advertisement, and we had a visit here by Mary McLeese, came to see us here. As I say, all good things. I really enjoyed it because, like, I'm 50 years of age, I've reared my family, and I thought like, who's going to want to employ somebody at 50 years of age, and being not a lot of jobs out there, obviously going to want to take on younger people. So I was very lucky to get in here, and I'm enjoying it very much. I'm learning skills at 50 that I never thought like I would be learning. I thought like I'd be too old to do that, and I'm flying along it now and I'm enjoying it very, very much. Like, and I'm coming in here like it gets me away from, like, if I was at home I'd probably be just doing the one thing over, finding something else to clean, like going around the house, probably cleaning over something I've already cleaned and just being kind of bored. But this is kind of keeps me going, you know what I mean? It keeps me more active and things like that. And so I do enjoy coming in, like, and talk about the weekend or whatever happened. You think when you get to 50, like, that you are kind of going to be like old, because my grandchildren do tell me, you are old, Nanny, but I don't feel like 50. Like, some days I look now and probably do feel like 70, but I do feel young at heart, and I feel like that I'm not ready for the heap yet, like, do you know what I mean? I have something else to give, do you know what I mean, to the community or whatever. So ShuttleKnit has done that for me, to give me that chance to do that, you know what I mean, to make myself active and not to be feeling down the dumps because I am 50. But anyway, that's it really. We would like to thank the following people for supporting ShuttleKnit: Pobble, Wicklow Goal, Wicklow County Council, Wicklow Local Enterprise, Kildare and Wicklow Enterprise Board, all our customers, and finally our board. I'm a community development worker. I do a bit of everything. I do an active age group, a youth group for girls, youth group for boys, and there's an awful lot that goes on in those three groups. About 6 years ago I started up the active age. We had some women coming from Bray. All in all we had about 7 women that came every Monday, and a couple of those women hadn't got any transport, so I'd go and pick them up. We'd come in here, we'd have a chat, make scones, be at home, make things by hand, you know, flowers and stuff like that. So after a while the women got fed up with that and decided they wanted to do what they would have liked to do years ago when they were younger. What they would have been used to doing was like visiting holy wells. That was one of the conversations that came up a lot as when we were asking what would they like to do. We'd like to visit the holy wells. Years ago, travellers used to visit in the summer. They used to spend their holidays visiting holy wells and travel from one holy well to another holy well and pray for all the sick. And if there was someone sick in the family, they'd get one of their belongings, bring it to the holy well, like a sock belonged to a child or a relic belonged to someone that was sick, and bring it and leave it at the well. And they believed that brought them strength and good luck and health. So that's still a very strong belief in the community, travelling community at the minute, even with the younger people. But the older people would miss the company of the other older people. A lot of them would be passed away or too far to get in contact with. So we gather now once a year and we go to the Holy Well in England. It's called Holywell.
and we visit there. And it started off one year, about 5 years ago. All the women saved up their own money, which went towards the petrol expenses for our coordinator. Eamon drove the van to England, and there was a very low budget, and Eamon said, well, if you can arrange it, if you can get that bus on that boat and get an overnight accommodation, it was a very small amount of money. Fair enough, the women then can pay for the petrol. It was the first time any of the older women had been away, and we ended up getting really cheap, everything really cheap, and we all went over, and it was brilliant. We spent the whole day in the Holywell, and the next day we spent in Padre Pio's gardens. But we got an awful fright the first time. Well, I did, because I'd never been there before. Right as we walked in, there was a statue of Padre Pio, and it's bronze, and it's the size of Padre Pio. You know, it's life size. And the women were fascinated with it, and they were looking and they said, isn't it so realistic? And you could almost imagine that the eyes were moving, and because it's so realistic. And we were all praying and that. And right as I turned around, there was like a real Padre Pio standing. And I looked, and it was one of the monks from the actual place. It's a place there that monks lived there as well. And he was identical to Padre Pio.
Really?
So we took photographs, and you'll see the photographs later. And the women were fascinated with him, and such a religious little man, and you know, and there's little things like that. And then the walk is very bumpy and very stony, and it's a good walk now. It could be a mile up, maybe half a mile up. I'm not good on me, but I know it's a long walk up, and there's the stations that are crossed the whole way up. And a lot of the women now, there was a few of the women couldn't make it to the top because they were so, you know, a lot of them had chest problems and breathing problems and stuff like that. But we went back, and eventually they did, you know, get to the top. But it was a great experience for them and myself as well. And it's nice for me because I have all those memories as well. And that's something that you can't put in a book, like you can't learn off a book. Then we go to a place called Our Lady's Island. We visit. We've been to St. Bridget's Well. We go to another well, it's St. David's Well in Wexford. I drive them down myself in the car. When there's only a few come in, we spend the day driving down and spend the day down around there. And the older people really love the connection with the wells, and we have a book there. It's about all the different wells local, like not too local, but some of them are quite far away. And what we do from time to time is we pick a holy well that their generation would have known of, but they had never visited themselves. And we make it our business to find out where that well is, and then we'll go and visit that well. And it's like a lifetime thing they've always wanted to do. So they get great satisfaction from it, and they talk about it for weeks afterwards. You know, it's great inspiration for them, and they go home, and if they've someone sick at home, they bring them relics belong to them, and sometimes they come in and say, you know, there's a great improvement in such a one since we went to the Holy Well. I might go back there again. You know, it's that's how it is.
Hi, my name is Bridget O'Brien, and I'm a primary healthcare worker here in Wicklow Town. I've worked here nearly 8 years, and we provide health information to travelling families in County Wicklow.
Hi, I'm Bridget Griffin, and I'm starting the primary healthcare 2004. I'm 10 years in it, and we do 240 families from the north to south of Wicklow.
And we give them information on stuff that we think they might not get from other places, such as keeping up to date with immunisations, help on medical card renewals. We also try and encourage men and women to have their overall checks done, their cervical for the women, breast checks, and also try and get the men to have their checks done, because I done the All Ireland Health Study a good few years ago, and it came out that travellers were dying a lot younger than the settled population. So we try to encourage the travelling community to look after their health in any way, shape or form.
We work with the HSE, we're funded by the HSE,
and we do outreach with the families, and we bring out information like we have meetings on mental health and all to do with your health, and we're working at the moment on men's health because it's very serious. Because what we found from the All Ireland study that travellers kind of die 15 years younger in the settled community when we done the All Ireland study, like, so it's all based on getting them information to look after their health, but it's very hard to get them to talk about their mental health. Very, very hard, but there's people working on that at the moment, like, you know what I mean, there's a young outreach group working on that. I think like when this thing come out about the travellers being taken off the road like this to do with travelling, and there's a thing come out that the travellers can't travel anymore, I think a lot of depression set in, my opinion, but a lot of depression would have set in from there, like, you know, because they've been scattered from all over the place, where they were in the beginning to be families all around them. Now they're just, one is maybe in rent accommodation here, and then there's another one over here, and the whole way of life was, you might as well say, basically stripped from them, like, so. And I think a lot of depression come from there. And then like now, like when it happens that there's no identifier in a hospital if they commit suicide that they're from the travelling community, so they're working on getting an ethic identifier, that when it happens that they're put down as they're settled.
Here in the primary healthcare in Wicklow, there's 18 primary healthcare workers, and what the women do is we provide, as I said, we provide information, but we also go out to visit on sites, and the women are passionate about different stuff, so some of the women can get training on different areas such as domestic violence, asthma, men's health, and they go and they get the training, then they come back and they give it back to the wider community. And what the girls is doing, they went to Pavy Point and they done a course on asthma, because in County Wicklow we found that there was a lot of the families that wasn't using their medication correctly. So what the girls done is they went off and they had the training done, they came back, so they go in pairs and we go out onto site and we visit the families and show them what's the correct way for to use their medication. And we found that there was 99% of the families that we visited wasn't using their medication, and their doctor wasn't showing them about that you just, when you get an attack, you're still supposed to use your inhaler afterwards. It was miscommunication, because we found that we were able to talk to them in a clearer, more simpler way, and they were able to understand it more clearly, about even with the young kids, that it was very important because asthma is very, very serious. Like, we go and we find the simplest method of passing on information, the simplest way that we'd find ourselves, that we'd like someone to pass it on to us, and then we build up relationships with the families over a period of time, years, that they trust you, and any information that we would give it'd be relevant to them, like. And the same with the kids with the immunisation, with outbreaks now, because there was a case where there was an outbreak of chickenpox, and it was actually in Dublin. It skipped Wicklow and then it ended up in Wexford. So that was shown to the level of work, because once we hear of any outbreak, we go out straight away and we go to all the mammies and everyone will say, like, make sure that there's such an outbreak and it's important to check the immunisations, and we record everything. So